How to lint Jenkins declarative pipelines from the command line. When you first start writing declarative pipelines in Jenkins, it's easy to make mistakes. Sometimes pipelines fail, and it's really hard to trace the specific cause. Jenkins provides the ability to lint declarative pipelines from the command line. The linting process will highlight syntax issues for your declarative pipelines before you run them. Here's today's starting point. I have a Jenkins LTS controller, version 2.332.2. Now, in order to run the command line, I need to go and download the Jenkins CLI. And the way that we do that is we go to Manage Jenkins, we'll scroll down to Jenkins CLI, and at the top, there's a section that says, to get started, download JenkinsCLI.jar. So let's go ahead and click on that. And let's run this command that's right here in front of us to test to see if it works. So we'll go back over to a console. I'm in my downloads directory. That's where the jar went. In fact, let's verify that. There's my jar. So let's run this. And we can see here that we're getting back output from the help command. So we know we have the jar set up correctly, and we know that we can access it. Now there's also one more thing that we can do. Note this -s HTTP Jenkins 8080. I can turn this into an environment variable so we're not having to type this each time we run it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export Jenkins URL, and I'm going to set it to HTTP Jenkins 8080 /. And then let's go ahead and run this command one more time, but I'm going to remove the -s. And when we run it again, we get the same output from help. So let's go ahead and create a Jenkins file that we're going to lint. So I'm going to say vi Jenkinsfile, and I have an example here. And if you've written Jenkins files at all, you'll notice that our problem is going to be the agent line. We always have to specify a global agent, and it has to be either none or any or a specific label. So we know right now this is broken, but let's say you haven't written a Jenkins file before. Let's see how this reacts. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's run our command. What I have is java-jar, Jenkins CLI jar, -WebSocket, and the command is declarative-linter. And then what I'm doing is I am redirecting in Jenkinsfile into this command. So let's go ahead and hit enter. And we can see here that it's complaining that Anonymous is missing the overall read permission. Since my Jenkins controller is set up with authentication turned on, I first have to go ahead and set up an authentication token for the user that I want to connect as. Now in my case, I have an admin user. So let's go ahead and go over to that user. We'll click on admin, configure. I'm going to create a new API token. I'm going to call this Linter, click on generate, and here is the token that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this token. Now, much like what we saw with our Jenkins URL environment variable, I can go ahead and create two environment variables, one for my user and one for my API token. So let's go back over to our console. First off, let's go ahead and export the user ID. So I'm going to say export Jenkins_user_ID. And my ID is admin. And secondly, let's export the token. So it's export Jenkins_API_token equals, and then the value of my token. Now the documentation for the CLI and how to use these environment variables are down in the description of this video. So now that we've done our exports, let's run our command one more time. So we're specifying declarative-linter and we're redirecting in Jenkinsfile to that. We've set up our environment variables, one for the server, Jenkins URL, one for our user, Jenkins_user_ID, and then finally, for our API token, Jenkins_API_token. When we hit enter, what we can see here is that not a valid section agent was defined. So we can see here that agent is misdefined, and then it says we're missing a required section agent, which is listed right here. So let's go ahead and fix our Jenkins file. And let's just make it agent any. Let's go ahead and run this one more time. And we can see here from the output that the Jenkins file is successfully validated. Now let's make a modification to our Jenkins file. And instead of us saying agent any, what we're going to say is agent brace label does not exist. Let's go ahead and save this and let's run it. And what you're going to see here is that the Jenkins file successfully validated. And what this means is it's validated from a structural perspective. It's not validated from a real perspective. The label does not exist. That does not exist label does not exist. So the linter is just checking for the structure and nothing beyond that. Finally, I want to show you one more failure scenario. Let's modify our Jenkins file. I'm going to insert a new line here at the top, and it's going to be for a shared library. So I'm going to say library and my library. And that's all that I'm going to add, because this is a very common mistake when people are first starting with shared libraries. I'm going to save this, and then let's test our Jenkins file one more time. And what you can see here is it's saying unexpected token pipeline at line 2. This error isn't very helpful. So in these cases, when the error is not as helpful, let's go back in and take a look at our Jenkins file. So I'll say vi Jenkins file, and I'm noticing at this point that I messed up, because anytime you import a shared library using the @library annotation, you must include an underscore. So if I put the underscore in that same line and we run our test one more time, we can see now again that the Jenkins file successfully validates. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us on Twitter @CloudBees. If this video was helpful to you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to CloudBees TV yet, why not? Take a moment, click on that subscribe button, and then ring that bell, and you'll be notified anytime there's new content available on CloudBees TV. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.